Hello all and welcome to this AWS tutorial. In our tutorial today, I will provide a brief overview on AWS WAF. Let us begin this discussion with what is AWS WAF. If you come from an IT or a development background, you are probably familiar with the concept of a firewall, right? A firewall protects anything that's behind that particular firewall. It could be servers, it could be applications running on those servers, it could be pretty much anything that's behind that particular firewall, right? So if anyone says AWS WAF, right, this WAF stands for Web Application Firewall. So it's a firewall behind which your web application sits, right? And this firewall protects your web applications from any kind of malicious attacks. Now remember that this is a web application firewall. And I think it would probably make sense, right, to have this kind of a firewall because most of the web applications are internet facing. So you definitely need something to protect your application from all the malicious attacks and all the DDoS attacks that typically happen. Now, what does AWS WAF do for you? It lets you monitor HTTP and HTTPS requests that are forwarded to Amazon API Gateway APIs, Amazon CloudFront, and an application load balancer, right? And remember, this is a web application firewall. Hence, you have HTTP and HTTPS requests. What WAF also does is that it allows you to control access to your content or to your application by leveraging the IP address of the request, right? So this is the IP address from where the request originated or leveraging the query string values. Now, every time a request is received by the firewall, what it does, it actually evaluates this particular request to determine what should I do of this request. Should I allow this request? Should I fulfill its request? Or should I block or deny this request, right? So if a request is received and it is allowed, then it will provide access and it will respond back with the requested content. Otherwise, if it is not allowed, that means it is denied or blocked, then it will return and respond back with a status code of 403. That is nothing else but forbidden access. Now, anytime someone says AWS WAF, three things should come to your mind. First is access control lists or ACL or ACLs. The next is rules. And then finally, the rule groups, right? And we will look at these three in details. But if someone says AWS WAF, these three should come to your mind along with these three right here. Because these three make up what AWS WAF is all about. And AWS WAF typically protects or monitors requests going to your API, CloudFront, and application load balancer. Now, AWS WAF includes a full-featured API as well. And these APIs allow you to automate the creation, deployment, and maintenance of security rules. Now, one important concept that you need to understand about WAF, okay, and anything that's related to WAF like rules or rule groups, is this Web ACL capacity units or WCU. Now, each rule or rule group or the Web ACL itself, which basically comprises of rule and rule groups, right, will have certain number of Web ACL capacity units or WCUs associated to itself, right? Now, unlike DynamoDB where you had capacity units, okay, that was used for pricing and all that stuff, this is not used for pricing. This WCU or the capacity, the Web ACL capacity units is just a dimension that is used to calculate and control the operating resources or the operating capacity that is used to process your rules within a Web ACL, right? So it is not for pricing purpose. So hence I've mentioned also over here that this does not represent a rules pricing consideration, but it is only basically to calculate and control the operating resources or the operating capacity that will be required by the rule within a Web ACL. Remember that you cannot give the entire capacity that you have to a specific rule to execute, right? You have to basically divide and time slice and say, hey, Mr. Rule, you have this much amount of capacity, do your business in this much capacity. Of course, you can always call AWS and increase that capacity, but of course you'll require a very good reason, right? Okay, so this was just the basic of AWS WAF. So keep all of these in mind, right? And whenever you go to an interview, if anybody talks about WAF, these points should basically get you through. So now let us understand, how does WAF work? So you have your AWS WAF right here. You have your 3 services that we just talked about. And what you do is you create a policy, right? So in this policy, you build your own rules. You can use a rule builder, or you can just simply code in JSON. Or if you don't want to do that, what AWS provides you is set of managed rules, and these are managed by AWS. So you could pretty much use these managed rules, or you could even go to AWS Marketplace and get yourself some rules that you like, right, that fulfills your requirement. So once you have this in place, the next thing that you do is you basically set up and you basically put them in action, right? So to block and filter any kind of requests or vulnerabilities that are coming your way. And then finally, the most important piece is this monitoring piece. Now, why is this piece important? You use Amazon CloudWatch for the incoming traffic matrix, etc., and you can use even Kinesis, right, for request details. But why is this monitoring important? And that is because that, let's say if you're creating these rules, you're creating this policy, you're putting it in action as well, but you do not know what are the various kind of vulnerabilities that are there around, right? People come up with new type of attacks, new type of viruses, etc. every day. So what you need to do is you need to keep on monitoring this policy and these rules that you have put forward outside to protect your application. And most importantly, not just monitor it, but leverage all those metrics, leverage all that logging data to fine tune those rules on a regular basis, right? Because it's something very similar to like a continuous feedback cycle. Like you make your change, you implement it, you see what happens. Of course, you can create your own different test scenarios as well and say, see its behavior, like how is this behaving? For all you know, it might actually block an authentic request and you're like, oh my God, I need to figure out a way to get this thing in. Or it might allow a malicious request as well. So that's what you need to do. So a good amount of pen testing is required, and plus also tuning and fine tuning of these rules over a period of time, leveraging all the data that you have logged is a must, right? So that's how you can have a robust policy in place. Now, going back to the question that we started earlier with, right? So what is this AWS WAF composed of? And I mentioned those 3 things. First is the web ACLs. Web ACLs, that is access control lists, is created by adding rules to this particular access control list. You create your rules and you add them. You can also add rule groups to it. And essentially the intention is to protect your resources. Now, whenever you create this web ACL, remember we are talking about WCUs, that is the capacity units, right? So a web ACL's capacity unit, the number of capacity units for this ACL is a sum of all the WCUs, of all the rules and rule groups that are part of that ACL. So if this ACL has 5 rules and each rule has a capacity unit, I don't know, whatever, 10, 50, I'm just going to say, then the ACL will have a WCU of 250, right? The maximum WCU that an ACL can have is 1500. And if you want more than this, then you'll have to pretty much call AWS and give them a good business scenario and a business reason that, hey, I need an ACL of more than 1500 capacity units, right? Okay. The next one that we have over here are the rules. So what we do over here, we create rules, and these rules are created for a certain criteria. And not only criteria, you also associate an action to this particular rule. And this action is taken if the criteria is met. So let's say, should you allow a request? Should you block a request? What should you do? Some kind of action needs to be taken. You can also create rules to count the number of requests that you have received. So for example, if you receive multiple number of requests from the same IP address, just a scenario, or you want to know how many requests you're totally receiving. If the request count goes you receive suddenly like 10 million requests, that means somebody's probably attacking your application, right? And every time you create a rule, right, that WCU, okay, is created and updated whenever a rule is there. So it is calculated every single time when you create and update a rule. And that WCU, the number of units, is displayed besides the rule on the console. Now let us look at rule groups, right? So rules can exist individually or it can exist within a rule group. Now you can create your own rule groups or you can use rule groups that are provided by AWS. These are managed AWS rules, or you can always go to the AWS marketplace. Now, whenever you create a rule group, right, you need to specify its capacity units. And once it is specified, it cannot be changed. Like if you say my rule group is going to have 50 WCUs, and this is what you are stuck with. Now suddenly you cannot say, hey, I need to create a rule group. I want to modify this rule group now with 500 WCUs. It's pretty much immutable, right? So if you want to do that, then you have to create a new rule group over here. So whenever you make any modifications to a rule group, let's say you change a rule or something like that, you add a new rule, these WCUs need to be maintained. And I've added this one point over here, right? Especially if you are using the managed rules, there are several things that these managed rules actually address. Like there are several security concerns that OWASP typically addresses, and OWASP basically stands for Open Web Application Security Project right here, right? And these rules are managed by AWS. So whenever AWS gets some feedback from them, they basically update these rules on regular basis with any new risks or any new issues that emerge. So by now you should probably be aware and you should be able to talk about the benefits of WAF, right? It's pretty self-explanatory, I guess. So you have basically protection against web attacks, which is obvious as a firewall. You have managed rules provided by AWS, so you can pretty much use those. It is pretty cost effective, and you can actually go and look at the pricing right here on this particular link. And you also have APIs available for those automated creation and deployments, etc. Now, how does the pricing of this thing work? So WAF basically charges based on the number of ACLs that you have created and the number of rules per ACL. And of course, the number of requests that you receive. So these are the three parameters it uses for pricing purposes. If you want to get additional details, I strongly recommend that you visit this particular URL. There are even certain scenarios that they have described over here that, hey, if you have X number of, ACLs, X number of rules per ACL, these many number of requests, then this is the amount of pricing that you will have. So I hope, guys, that this particular tutorial was helpful. Do post your feedback and I will see you shortly in some other video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.